The clock on the wall is a couple minutes behind, but I think we're ready to go.
I have call it too.
Yeah, that's what I have. Yeah. I'll call the meeting to order with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we did get the October minutes recently. Okay. Were there any corrections that anyone noticed with that?
Do September 1st if you want.
Okay, yes, we can do September also. Were there any notes on that? Comments?
No.
No. Okay, is there a motion to approve the September minutes?
I'll make it.
Okay. And is there a second?
Second.
All members in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you. And also the minutes for October 22. Is there a motion for that?
I'll make that.
I'll second. Okay. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank
Please
you.
speak up too.
All right.
Thank you.
So approved by committee of two was the application and the renderings for 199 Scott. Just fix a few things on the chimney with that. And under old business, number 1 is adjourned. So is there a motion to adjourn that?
Yes.
And then
No, that was
6:10.
approved by 6:10. 6:10, I'd just like to formally adjourn. So Tony, and second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. 121 Old Barn Lane, you received John's review of. I don't think is there a formal vote on that then?
yes, we're gonna have to do a formal vote. You should all have in your packet
Mhm.
our resolution. It's kind of a two-pronged resolution. We would both assume lead agency pursuant to SECRA, State Environmental Quality Review Act, and we would also adopt a negative declaration that demolition and reconstruction will have no adverse environmental effects.
So you have the call on the second page of that. I will fill in words. So myself, Megan,
Yes. Aye.
I, Tony. Yep. I. Okay, Alicia.
Yes. Aye. Aye.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
But you have to do your actual motion.
Right.
It's fine.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion presented?
I'll make it.
Okay. And second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Alicia. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Moving to the next thing.
Not yet.
Well, we have to sign that document, yes. Okay. So.
You're gonna start up at the top.
Up at the top. Just get the- We have another line there. We'll just sign off on this. Let's go back to that.
so to get back to the discussion on this, Eric, maybe? Thank you.
Architects, Ahrb Peterson for 121 Oak Barn. Owners are attending by Zoom. And I've submitted the updated renderings and drawings based on a discussion last meeting where the first one was lowering the chimney cap 6 inches, so they didn't seem as elongated. That was one of the changes. And then with response to the windows and doors, which focuses mainly on the rear elevation. So you can see that in the renderings we're on sheet A201 with the revisions including the 1 foot lowering of the bottom bifold on the first floor. And then a reduction in width for both the den and master primary. There are the 2 doors flanked by a center picture. So the center picture is reduced 1 foot width both the top and the bottom, along with the kitchen, which is just a small reduction of 4 inches on the sill. Again, for the 2 units on the right side, the den and then the primary bedroom above, again, one is below the porch, and then the second one, I would say close to 2/3, about a third of it is screened by the railing and roof deck. And we turn over 2 pages to A203. It's really it's a modest reduction from 20.6 to 19.2 in the overall glazing to wall area ratio. But again, you can see when we look at the rear elevation in total, that still is, I think, consistent with other homes this size. And that's essentially the changes.
Any questions from the board? Just to reiterate, when we are looking at these glazing and light emissions, they are site specific. And depending on how close the neighbors are and how much reflective night glow is happening in the neighborhood, we continue to get feedback from the public that this is something that they're very concerned about. That we don't want to become Sag Harbor or even recalling Southampton at night.
I have a question. Is it illegal to put uplights in the ground in Sagaponic?
It is, yes, that's
It
part
is.
of the code, that's not
That's what I
supposed to be
thought.
happening, yes.
Matt, is there any way to look at the last round?
I left I'm sorry, in that, on that sheet on the left, A20, it's A203.
Okay.
I left the original numbers there from submission number 1. So if you see the red circle, the revision cloud, so on A203 on the left side, under lighting analysis real elevation.
In terms of percentage.
Yeah, it's the revision cloud represents what was changed, and then the original submission 1 is below. So that's the 20.6 was the original submission 1, and
Yeah.
19.2 was the reduction.
Yeah, thank you, that's helpful. I think it helps me more visually to look at you know,
The
one of
changes,
these,
yeah.
of the actual home rendering. Do you happen to have that, Pat? Were you able to pull it up? Yeah, if you have it last round. You might have it. To display. design is beautiful.
Thank you.
Megan, you wanna see the rear elevation from last month?
Yes, please. Do you have it in this form? I meant to bring my last one. That one just before was must be helpful, yeah. So can't really see these ones. So what did you actually do to reduce?
If you go back, well, so in the elevation, it might be easier, so this isn't, the renderings were at the corners, not straight on. We've shown that more clearly, but the elevations that was submitted previously on A201.
The middle pane,
What's it?
so the middle panes were reduced
Yeah,
by
so
the 12
those,
inches.
yeah, so those doors in the center, the bifolds were 9 feet tall, so we reduced them to the 8-foot tall height of the other windows and doors in the house. And then on the right side, underneath the roof deck, and then the windows on the roof deck, the picture units were reduced by 1 foot in width. And then at the kitchen, it was just bumped up, just reduced to one size 4 inches for the kitchen breakfast, which is on the first floor to the left of the doors that were reduced by 1 foot. So acknowledge that it was just a small decrease, but mainly at the, for the first floor, the bifolds being reduced from 9 to 1, to 8 foot rather. We felt that was significant on, in terms of that reduction. And then the other two, because the ones on the roof deck are partly screened by the railing system, and then you have the windows, the door in the picture underneath the porch is partly screened by the outdoor fireplace and the other elements there. That's maybe not as significant.
You have to fireplace to say, so in the rendering that's kind of here in front of the,
Yeah, there's a fireplace that's,
on the other side of that,
I'm sorry.
on the other side of the corner, if you look in the render.
Yeah, so like what's behind that view would be the windows that were reduced.
Right, and there's a fireplace.
There's an outdoor fireplace in the center of the, I'm not showing you on that elevation just because I wanted to clarity, I just wanted to show.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It's in TO
What's the
window.
space
Or,
back?
yeah. So you're not showing it there, even though you're showing the,
Because the windows.
yeah,
Yeah,
you're
just
showing
wanted
the windows blocked above.
the railings, yeah,
The
actually.
railings, yeah.
And if you look at the side, I'm sorry, because you're correct. If you look at the elevation above, you'll see on the left side, on the upper left, that's the back of that fireplace.
Got it.
And I just need to show the side profile,
Yep,
just for clarity.
got it, yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
No, I think I can continually come back to, I appreciate because it is such a beautiful area and backyard to look at, that you want a wall of windows to look at it. However, the entire wall area is 1,100 square feet approximately. And 90 square feet of that is glass. that's not a lot of wall left, and that leaves a lot of light to be admitted. And I just feel like that, to me personally, is too much. I know we don't have any sort of guidelines around it yet. But to me, that's too high. To me, it didn't come down enough, just because of the two open squares. I think the overall on the bottom is too much. That's just my point of view.
Thank you. Tony, any thoughts?
I think on the, where it's been reduced by 12, there is an overhang. I think the reduction has been effective. I think lowering the chimney. It is a lot of light, but it's sort of, if you look at lot 74224, you're sort of on the side there. 74225, you're on the side there as well. The second floor, I think, is where I think the emissions will be more of a problem for neighbors. I feel the ground floor up to 8 or 9 feet, there's sort of a mutually beneficial, if they can't see your light, you can't see them walking around, basically. Now, I'd like to see less light coming through there and less windows. But I do think that the second floor isn't too egregious. And that was more my concern.
We should keep in mind, there is also a good amount of distance between, correct me if I'm wrong, is the proposed dwelling going roughly in the same area as the existing dwelling? There's a decent amount of space in between all of the dwellings in this subdivision.
And the orientation is virtually identical to 74245.
Yeah.
And placement of pool and tennis court.
And along the rear, on the north east corner, there's some significant pines that are 2 story higher. You can see that will be maintained. The neighbors, I would imagine, we're not altering those.
And like you said, I think the fireplace and not the trellis, but the overhang on the ground floor protects 74225.
And I mean, I agree with your point, the center dormers, it does seem like, that, unfortunately, that is a closet in the bathroom, so I don't think there, in terms of use, I think the use would be less in terms of, throughout the evening, light pollution and things like that. That is a contributing factor. I would say the uses of those rooms, the center, where the center single shed is with the 5 windows, aren't bedrooms. They're, it's a closet and a bathroom.
Any thoughts?
I think it looks fine. I mean, there seem to be a lot of trees and, of course, in the summer, the trees are out and that's when people are there. In the winter, they're not. The lights are on,
Some streets just have a few people on it, but we have to think about ramifications if someone's there year-round.
I think it looks okay.
I think from a historical context, not all windows are created equal. These do have a traditional vernacular to them, which always helps me a lot. There's not agricultural, but it's at least pastoral when you see something that could have been there for more than 4 months.
Traditional.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a conversation we had where the client discussed having no grills or mutton bars on the breakfast through, so anticipating that, we want to have that in mind, we did kind of, push to keep the kitchen through den with the upper lights at least, so that's kind of thing.
Yeah. And the dropping of the reduced height by 12 feet, that sort of hits an inflection point where you're also then protected from any reflected ceiling that we're not. That's always a concern about how much space you have between the top of the window and the ceiling.
No, yes, that's a good point too.
Excuse me, there are some people looking on Zoom and the volume of the Zoom is
slow?
That's because you guys have to
Sorry.
speak up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alicia, did you have any input? This is your second time on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reduction definitely makes sense and, you know, to Megan's point, I mean, I do feel like that one wall could have less glazing, but, you know, heard some things that my colleagues have said, and, you know, Tony's reminding us that it's a very pastoral and historical looking facade. I think makes a difference. It's not a wall of modern glass, so I think I'm okay.
And the fascia sort of overhangs too, so it does protect natural uplighting.
Very good. Any other questions from the board?
Are your clients as satisfied with this design as the previous one?
Yeah, we talked afterwards, Stephen was here, and I think he understood everybody's position, and we discussed the reductions, and yeah, he was on board.
We'll do the same if his neighbors decide to go for crazy tenants.
Okay, so at this point, is there, feeling that we want to go ahead and make a motion for approval? Go vote.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, do you want to make any special comment? Just before I move to the second? Okay, so we have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, let's just get that as a hand vote.
Sorry,
Sorry.
I'm a nay
Okay,
due to the
Right,
reductions.
okay. And aye, yes?
Aye.
And-
Aye.
Okay, good. Okay. All right, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Or you could put here, you know, are you keeping it? Okay. Just check it.
Here, right here. Yeah, what the.
I'll be right back. You're welcome.
We did not.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you just to initial ones on the one plan. So it can be across the top here in the group. You put the- that's it. 27. And if you just do that, and then sometimes things happen, and it's just always good to have a set of, huh?
Is everyone signing this or you were?
Yes, everybody should do that, and then.
Yeah, she's going to grab the file.
It's really, so what we've been doing, certain applications, is just initializing, initialing one set of files, just going to the file. And then, Tony, you'll give me that back in a second. But you're gonna initial.
These are the
set of
initials.
files.
Oh, okay.
I have this for Lindsay. Is it? It's not, it's just a.
We can talk about it.
process. Just take it down.
Tom, she's going to get Mr. Gruber in file, that's not next.
Okay. So what you're looking at is not.
Oh,
No, she's gonna grab it.
Mr. Gruberman is sitting out in his truck.
Yeah.
Ah, there you are. Okay.
Just bear with me, like that. I can show you this. This is the one that I can
So this is not the next one. It's-
That's this one. Oh, okay.
Okay, so basically, this had been approved with 4 garage doors across the bottom of it?
Yes,
Is that correct?
yes.
And my understanding is that this alteration happened, although John didn't get an application to alter the plan, is that correct?
No,
That's not correct. Okay, could you fill us in on
yeah, so
what transpired?
my wife and I looked for the same exact door, so that we have 4 of the same doors.
Mhm.
And it was taking quite a bit of time, so we threw up a temporary wall. This is a temporary wall, as we told John.
Mhm.
And we finally found a company that would make it, it was $18,000. So we said, you know what, let's submit to the ARB and see if they would like that as much or better. And that's where we find ourselves.
I see. Okay.
Is there a picture of the overall?
Well, this is what's existing. This has already been built.
Yeah, I'm just asking overall to see the whole picture.
Ahrb is not going. So all you do if you ever want to be seen, you just click on
Okay.
I'll start.
I don't. Could you please mute yourself?
I did, I muted them. Thank you. It's not facing the street, right?
That's correct, yes. For perspective, this end of the structure faces the street. This is on the driveway. Josh, about how deep is the driveway? Before the house, how far back is the house
The
set?
driveway is probably 45 feet, maybe more.
This is what you see, this elevation is what you see.
No,
No.
No, you can't see it because it's blocked by that green wall.
this is the streets out there.
The only spot you can get it from would be from the east side if you came past the driveway. Because of the wing wall, there's a 6-foot wing wall, a 5-foot wing wall. It obscures it.
On the south first floor, there's a barn slider. Is that attached or that is being stored?
See it?
Seems to be a barn door there sliding.
Yeah, there's been,
Is that existing or is that
it's existing. Everything's built.
I mean, to me, with the window box and the door is more appealing than another garage door.
That's what we thought.
So
That's
that
my
doesn't-
wife thought, actually.
It's not bothering me. It's actually,
How many square feet is your house? Approximately?
5,300 maybe. something like that.
And the the use now is a shop rather than a garage space? Is that
Right, so I'm gonna have a little shop there, won't be air conditioned or heated, but I have my tools and equipment there. So I need a separation wall, which I think by code just needed 2 outlets, was the only missing piece.
And the thing is, 4 garage doors were approved, now we have this, is that a precedent where all of a sudden the other 3 disappear, we've got a sort of a motel in our hands? I think,
Well, that would be a use question really more than a design question. The applicant would have to come back either way if we wanted to reconfigure the garage door
Mhm.
areas.
And there is an existing window behind the sliding door, is that correct?
No, it's a faux, we got rid of the lighting and the, I think you guys called it reflective lighting, so we got rid of that and we just put faux barn doors. Because the plan had a lot of light coming out of it and that was not agreeable to you guys.
Having a kind of private should be in there.
So I'm just gonna look back and see about the early design, just so that you're all up to date on what was and what is.
Oh, you're hard to understand, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, I'm just saying that Abby's gonna look for the earlier design.
When was the house built?
Should be.
The original house was,
37 years ago,
That's probably.
I'm sorry?
37 years ago,
Yeah,
it was 35.
Yeah, this was.
Those boards moved. And then it was redesigned.
So we removed the triple bay window on the first floor, put the faux garage doors, put an egress window and took out the mullions. It's a very clean look without the mullions.
That's a barn door now, above the
It's a faux barn door
faux barn door in front of the front 3.
with the
Yeah.
glass windows.
This is what was, these are the submitted renderings, correct?
This was what was originally submitted, and then it's.
Because the front upstairs window went to not from 3 panels, but to 1 each picture window. Just for clarification.
Go back.
That's what we have up now.
Those are just, these. How's a different color than what was approved?
Same color.
Because it's very white compared to the sort of natural
Yeah.
warm tone rendering. Sorry, I'm confused. Yeah, this looks like black and white and that looks like taupe and brown.
The paint colors, as I remember, didn't come into play when we submitted. I think we told them we're doing it white and black, and I think that was okay. And black and orange. So it's pretty
All right, so
are we looking holistically at everything, or are we focusing on the?
We should
we
focus just
approved
on,
everything
On the
else
door.
before,
Yeah.
On the
yes,
door.
yeah, that's what.
Well, theoretically, we didn't approve the paint color as was executed. So is there any way to look back and see if we discussed paint at all?
We did.
We did?
Yep.
What was it?
It was not supposed to be bright white.
Is it supposed to follow this rendering?
It was requested to follow the rendering, yes. But that didn't happen, and but that's sort of water under the.
So just food for thought,
So we just need to stick on what the discussion is.
24573B, A and B for both monotony or striking similarity references the facade disregarding color. Disregarding color. So in any event, that can be looked into later, if there was a sort of inappropriate deviation from a
Well, it's.
from a prior approval.
Yeah, it's passed.
But at the moment, if what's in front of us is just that door and window, we should focus on the door and window.
I guess the only question is what Megan's alluding to, what he said is, I mean, is it continually doing things and then asking for forgiveness?
Yes.
The job is complete. We did it per the plans with the exception of the door and the window, flower box and the window. Everything else is exactly the plan. The only change above that was the egress window, so we had to make that window larger in order to get the single pane glass. And then we closed off as a consideration the lower large triple pane glass, which was showing a lot of light.
Do you have any open permits that are waiting closeout or?
Yes, I'm going to close this.
So what could be done, and I noticed that color is mentioned elsewhere in the code, if that's something the board did want to look into, that could be double checked as part of the permit closeout process.
Please. That would be great.
Can I just ask a question? Sorry, now to go back. I mean, it doesn't really bother me that there's one less garage door, I think, for the size of the house, you know, but this was supposed to be garage door, so it was gonna be an office or a shop anyway with a garage door, and now it's a regular door.
Right, it was always gonna be a shop, but we had to submit the new plans for the demise wall. And we took out.
But your plan originally was to go through a garage door for that?
Of course, yeah. Well, we have two doors from the house that go into the garage. We don't have to go outside to go to the garage.
There's only space for 2 cars, right? It looks in the
Yes.
third, yeah, third is like a lawnmower or something.
Yeah. Two cars.
The upstairs window was elongated because it had to be a.
That's what he said.
And that's
Right.
John wanted to be this.
He has to have an
So
egress.
we changed. I was unhappy about it, but because the symmetry was gone and. I really loved it.
Right, but there were 4 windows across the side. Okay, so I think at this point, it's a basic yes or no for the door and the window. Is there a motion for approving?
I'm happy to make a motion to approve this
Okay.
little door and window box window instead of a garage door.
Okay, is there a second?
Me too, although I can't believe you're gonna use it as a shop.
Well, the use of the space is kind of outside of our purview.
Right, I know. I just,
No, I've been looking forward to a dedicated shop for something.
Yeah, it's nice.
else.
Good.
Nice to have it.
Natural light.
Okay, so that's a motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you.
But how can we address the paint in there?
Well,
Formal
that's something that John is suggesting, just to make sure that we
So we can pull,
provide the concern to Woodsman.
Oh, just one point, I think that the paint came up not for the house, but it came up for the chimney. There was a red chimney that you guys didn't like, so we washed that with white. That was the thing, that was the only thing that came up with color, I just remembered.
was
It was an existing chimney.
there a specific color palette or color code that was approved at the time of the last approval?
Other than get rid of the red, no, we did that.
That was early, yeah.
I think we might have to go back to look.
We can look and see, we can look at the existing file.
All right, so for today's discussion, that's approval. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, board members, I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
You can remove this over here and have a 3-bay swimming pool. This is a land. Yeah. Any alterations?
Yeah, that's only.
Or the foreseeable, like it would-
These are for you.
You would sign here too.
No,
I did.
Oh, so this is for you, and this is for you.
You're gonna sign this,
Yeah,
okay.
just initial contact.
College Road signature.
So are you signing this? Everybody else?
Yeah.
You won't have
Oh,
to
sorry,
sign
this
it.
one.
Time when you know,
Got a few things. Did you sign this?
I
one?
kind of did. I tried.
All right, thank you. All right.
Gary Sherman. How are you, Abby?
Good, how are you?
Hi, Gary Sherman, the homeowner, 639 Sacket Pike Road. This application involves essentially replacement of windows and doors for an existing shed that's been in the present location for over 25 years. Windows and doors were falling apart. So that's the back of it. And that's, I was gonna add, that you're looking at is a bump out of about 38 inches to accommodate an outdoor closet for tools and gardening things. And that last section, about about 6 feet, will have actually 2 more of those closet doors. That's an uninsulated bump out. That's the I was planning on using the old shiplap cedar door, entry door, but I was told just on the weekend that I can't insulate it enough. I'm trying to get this box well insulated, and it just won't work. So I shifted gears just to match up that door with the existing doors and windows that are more elevated. So that's about 2.5 by 6'8", at a standard small store they make for the entry door. And that faces northwest of the house.
Just to clarify, if I'm looking at this, this is being extended out, is that correct?
Yes,
And you would be doing the metal frame door over here?
no, the other side, that's the other side is you're looking, there's a field back there, but
Yeah.
if you put up a survey, you might be able to see it better,
Yeah.
but it sits in the backyard and it's
Can you zoom into the bottom one? Thank you.
yeah, so. Yeah, right here this is the existing structure and a deck. And this has been built already, and this is proposed. This was a subject of a variance that we didn't realize we needed.
Mhm.
That was recently approved last week.
So this is,
This is gonna be extended along this wall, about 17 feet by 38 inches for an outdoor closet. That door goes over here, it's
okay.
existing, and there's a window here, and then there's sliders here.
Okay,
These were patio doors, essentially all the same rough opening.
and this is like a summer, is it actually a shed since it's getting air conditioned, or what is it?
That's just what the engineers call it, a shed, because it's 12 by 20, it's a small room, doesn't have a bathroom. We will have.
Accessory structure.
What's that?
We would call it accessory structure.
It's an accessory structure. Right. And it's not visible from any direction,
Except it's facing the field,
except the naked field, right? It's an ag reserve.
which you can see from Main
I'm
Street,
sorry.
which you can see from Main Street.
I guess you could see it by general storm maybe that one.
Is this, This is also being extended over this?
No,
There's
no,
wiring
just-
coming
that's
through
just-
the
just
outside of the wall?
It's just gonna stop, it stops about 4 feet short, it only stops because the electrical goes in there, so I
Okay,
just stopped it there.
just trying to clarify.
Sorry, just because I'm a little confused, that picture of the white, that's the other facade?
No, I'm sorry
What's
that's from another hat, that's nothing to do with this. Just look at the black, it's literally all black. I saw that too, it was kind of glaring against that white.
Do you have other photographs of the other sides of the building?
That's what I was actually wondering, I thought that the white was in the front.
The
I was
ends.
confused.
In fact, I didn't get, included, it was, I took pictures of all
Okay,
sides.
and are we looking at the side that is facing the field?
No, the other side, there's no other.
Well, we could pull up probably Google Street View if you want to see if there's a clear view across the field. I don't think there is.
I submitted photos
Oh,
of
good, good, good.
all sides, all sides and directions, so you can see that there's hedges everywhere and it's not visible any place.
Mhm. So. It's kind of not clear from these, you know, what we have here.
I just want to know, that, that's windows there. So we're looking at is this side, the back. Are we looking, the windows you want to change are on back of the building facing the wall of privet to the east?
Could you point at,
Is this
on the
the east
plan
side?
up there and
Yeah.
show us which elevation on the plan, which elevation deed, because we have pictures of it.
Sure.
That would be great.
Yeah, that's correct, this is the piece, correct. See, it says proposed shed addition, this one little.
The doors you're seeing is right here.
Okay,
So
so,
it
These are both the same.
I know. So there's really only one elevation that we can see.
There isn't any elevation you could see unless you were.
No, but I mean, like,
Pictures.
pictures.
Oh, no, I can't have my phone, I thought they were submitted, but we'll find them.
You know, I think we're talking about the side that I'm not concerned about.
Right.
So,
Wait, which side are we?
so it's the east side that
It's
is
the one with
being
glass.
fixed with the glass that I thought would be facing the field, it's not, so.
Yeah, so the east side is facing hedges.
Let me,
I don't think, I mean, I no longer need them, now I understand.
And there's a garden to the south of the structure,
yeah, let me.
so that would also provide some screening.
These are pictures. Can I send these to you right now? Or?
Yes.
All right, let me send these to you. These were the samples of. Okay.
And the wall, the wall that serves the deck.
Let me just send this,
Okay.
so we can get this up there quickly. So these are the shots that I'm there.
Oh, I don't have those.
Oh. Okay, I'm just gonna right now. That's why it's, this is a long glass here.
What does this say?
So these are all.
It's a sad village.
We need to go out to the little deck.
Yeah, I know they're just.
We don't know that. And then we don't know these elevations,
Yes.
and we don't know what the door looks like.
Okay.
This is the biggest concern because this is the attic.
Right.
And it's-
Who's that?
Your computer.
Here, I'm gonna-
It needs to be Apple.
Whoever you want to send it to, most of the pictures.
Yes, it's the It's not.
You can't airdrop.
Well, basically, he needs to send it to me.
It's okay.
The door he wants to replace. He's able to like, he can't keep that one, he's insulated. That's why he wants to do
Pass
that.
around, take a look, and then we're done.
Kind of needs to be on.
Wants to use these.
I'm sorry, what was your question? This would be this door.
I know, I understand how this. This goes.
It's just.
So let's ask the applicant, let's have the applicant explain rather than conjecture, so. And stop me if I'm wrong, I think just we want an explanation or the concept, as built, what will the wall facing out to the proposed deck be like? Will there be doors, sliders
So out the field, up to the southwest.
to the, correct, that'd be the southwest
Southwest,
side.
that's about 16 feet of sliders. That was originally patio doors that fit, it's basically the same rough opening. The entire wall is 20 feet. It was about maybe a little more than that, maybe, but essentially 16 feet of three pairs of patio doors that rotted out and replaced that with sliders instead of
There were those full lights or half lights or
lights.
windows?
Sliders.
Was it, they were patio doors, they weren't sliders, they were
It
French
was
doors.
the same size, 6'8". They were 6'8", these are 6'8".
Okay,
It's the same thing.
And there's no, I think you've already said, there's no sleeping or cooking allowed out here. So any concern over lighting, if there won't be anyone really at night living in it as a dwelling, it's kind of negated, at least the way that I see it here. Or at least that's what the board can take into account, that if there won't be any activity after dark in the shed.
I think they just have to take. Give me 3 hours and a flashlight and another 7.
No comment.
That's essentially true. They're really, my partner, she needs an office. Our house is 1,700 square feet. And we're gonna kill each other. So it's like, it was already, when she's already upset today, the delay and all this stuff. So I said, look, we'll get this done. So, oh no.
It's one more time. Yeah, it didn't go to my email. It could be that it's large, the
Here.
file is large.
I can divide it up if it's too big.
Uh,
So trust me, this thing was falling apart, there's rot everywhere.
And some
and-
teenagers might wanna come see it.
What's that? I mean, it's a heck of a lot better than where it was, so, but there won't be anybody there at night, there's nothing to do there at night, and whatever lights I do have, I have these collar ties like this, and the only lights that are gonna be in there are inside going up against the ceiling like this.
why is it not light?
That's it. There are no other lights in there. I'm sure you can't see it. I can probably,
It's not allowing us.
all right, it's too big. Let me just take one picture of this
Mhm.
and I'll at least get one up
I
there.
mean, if in the meantime, Pat, or if you'd like to pull up the Google Maps, if we could see if there was any way view shed would run from one of the public roads out to the field, or through the field, rather.
This is the location.
Does he have pictures?
They're working on getting that, but this is the roundabout situation. This is side story.
Mhm.
Up to here, it's the school. So it gives you kind of a perspective on this is.
Okay, great.
Do you have a height on the sliders?
Okay.
Look at that.
Here,
All right.
I'm just gonna send these two. Here, just those two. That should go with just two pictures. Good. Yeah, so it's right here. It's this, you have 30-foot hedges here, you have 30-foot hedges here. And the house blocks, you can't even see the house from the road, let alone,
Nobody's seen that.
you know, so this is completely invisible. And other than both neighbors support the application for a variance, they know it's been here for 25 years and they're happy that it's being renovated.
Yes, sure, according to. Pardon me?
Yeah, we're going.
That's not what he's gonna see. That's,
Thank
how come nobody's seen that?
other questions? Were you able to get any pictures of this?
The slider heights, are they 8 feet, not 8, 7
The
feet?
lowest you can possibly get, they're 6'8".
6, 8, nice.
Yeah.
That's my own heart, yeah.
No, the whole structure, the whole eight is 8 feet, there's really, it's just, that's what's been there.
No,
No other exteriors of the shed?
I'm trying to send it, but I can't get it.
I can look on, I can show you, anybody want to look at the phone?
Yeah, I
don't
think
know.
you should do
I'll
that.
take a look. It's there. Yeah, thanks.
Is there a way we can share a screen from a phone or?
You can scroll back and forth and see all the.
And that's why I said to and he's
Thank you.
This is a shared copy.
make it
Zoom and recording. Looks nice. So whatever we're looking at and commenting on needs to be.
Like not permissible.
Right, and missing.
Right. And that's.
It just
I
said.
understand.
Oh, that's
And the way the windows face, the structure faces, it's tilted towards the sort of southwest corner of the field. So even if you were to be on Sacaponic Road and you actually trespass and you went onto the field, you still wouldn't have any, it's more west than it is, it's more westerly than it is. So the only way that you can see it is if you, and everything is full of trees back. After you get the field, another field, and then trees, is by drum. And you really, you can't,
So then we can say that.
if the pond is basically faces the pond eventually.
Yeah.
So right now, this illustration of the 4 large doors that are already installed,
Yes.
is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that's a general upgrade, just in wear and tear?
General upgrade,
That was just already there, those.
Yes.
Were already there. That looks nice.
Okay, so this gives you an idea of the hedge and the hedge height.
there's also photos of, there was clapboards, it was cedar siding, and I decided to go vertical to kind of emulate what I see around the barns. Like the night, I think Nairi has some beautiful barns around the corner, so I took pictures and thought, well, let's just do some, vertical cedar. So it's gonna be natural. Originally it was white, it was painted white, so this is, it was kind of rotted at this point, but now it's all vertical, shiplap siding, all around it.
All right, having had the opportunity to look at the existing plantings and so forth, are there any further questions on this?
No, but thank you, that was helpful to understand the whole structure.
Right.
It was.
Now, this is the asterisks that they already there.
Between expanding and
No, it was.
the ones that are, well, they're increasing cost, yeah, if they're in cost.
If
You
you
need
could
the
just-
exact same dimensions.
Yeah.
We just had a,
You can raise your voice if it's.
yeah, so we just had a question, are the windows really as of right if there's windows there already? And my answer was, if they're replaced in kind, meaning the like material and the like size, they are. But if not, and we're already here looking at permits, we have the ability to review them if they're larger, of a different size or
But we
scale.
have no evidence.
And is like a kind cut and dry, or is there a de minimis plus or
There's
minus
kind of a de
tolerance?
minimis standard.
How do
Okay,
we
we-
know what was there before?
The photos reflect,
The previous photos before we fixed the windows.
Before those large sliders, the large glass.
the photos in front of us are on my roll.
Different side.
That's a
different
different
side.
side of the building than.
Do you have photos with you of the existing conditions on the southwest side?
Well,
Already
it's already
replaced it.
replaced
So you
with,
mean what it was before?
right,
I could probably try to find.
the image on the camera is a full size.
There.
So is the board concerned, I'm just trying to, for everyone's,
Yeah, I don't think that there was a permit to upgrade what was there, and there's actually no evidence of what was on the other side of the building that we don't see here.
so we're just talking about the same side, the southwesterly
The
side,
deck side.
the deck side, so we were concerned that there might have been changes prior to now, and that what we see there is actually a change from what was existing beforehand.
The one we saw in
This
his
is the
camera
other
of
side.
the four windows of the
Four large glass
Sliders.
I don't know.
That's the only image we have of that side.
Okay,
And if you don't know the before one, are we looking at like as a right, or are we looking at?
I would say as we're here already, and as the applicant has been good enough to provide us with the photos, and then, you know, is doing the right thing and applying for permits to do everything legally, that we should just treat it as a fresh application, and just look at the merits of the sliders proposed.
Could we possibly do it predicated on a committee of two, seeing the before pictures?
If we find that germane,
Tom,
so it's our concern.
do you think approving this, predicating it on a committee of two, taking a look at the before pictures would satisfy?
We're not even sure that they exist.
Well, I'm
That's what
actually
before
still,
pictures.
hold on, I'm confused about what we mean by before pictures, so,
Before those four doors were in?
correct.
Replace
You're-
the doors, which if we were to take his word,
Gary,
they were the existing doors beforehand, he's replacing them, they needed a new
Could
seal
you
because
just
he's
show
heating
the
and air
attorney?
conditioning.
the picture with the four large
But
tall glass doors that are.
what we don't
Oh,
know,
the-
the piece of
what's there right
information-
I'm
now?
not sure he saw it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sure. I can probably download, I think there was a drone shot of.
I got a few pictures, pardon me, Gary.
Oh, you got it,
Thank you.
okay.
Just to be clear.
Actually, it was framed out probably over 25 years ago, but they were, I know exactly because the doors that I'm putting on the back, I'm reusing those. And those were temporary doors, the patio doors that rotted out.
Okay.
So I have the doors, those three pairs,
Okay,
where they fit into the front.
okay.
And I may have a drone shot, because I was trying to get a solar study done.
Even an image of the doors would be helpful, I guess.
Yeah, and the doors that were there originally are at the same one, the same ones 25 years on the main house. So I can show you a photo of that, but those were actually cut down to the easy. So I can give you an idea. It was pretty back there. Pretty ugly.
You have to put a new header in for the four?
What's that?
You have to put a new header in for the four sliders, or?
Yeah, I had to change, that's the only thing I had to do was change the framing to make, instead of, it reduced a little bit of the width.
Yeah.
And more, I had to pack in
Okay.
more of the sides, but I looked.
Which is helpful too, because you could put stuff on your desk on a wall or something.
Yeah, but the same, they're both 6'8", standard height.
So before or prior to the proposed work, there were doors there.
Yes,
And we're
yes.
just replacing kind of traditional wooden doors with slide doors.
With this, right, exactly.
So we can look at that as a fresh application. It's not technically in kind, but the applicant is, as he's supposed to do, coming before us for a permit for an alteration. So we can,
So this is the perspective that I'm speaking of. So that was already done before he came in.
What we're missing is the before pictures.
There were old sliders there. is that-
No, before they were patio doors that swung,
Oh, two pairs of patio doors.
Three.
3 pairs.
yeah. Each rough opening was a little over 5 feet. So it was close to 16 feet by the time you do, and that's what, these are a little less than 6 feet, 16 feet.
Just for clarity. Yeah.
and this work was already done. This is, so we could look at it as a fresh application. It's, they're coming before us for architectural review of a permit for work done.
See, I would not approve this.
What are your
I
concerns?
would not approve a wall of windows facing a field right now.
But it looks from what we saw on Google Maps that there's very little chance of light extrusion hitting the field.
Yeah, but that's not the side that we were addressing. The only side he presented was the side that's facing a wall
So
of
this
privet,
is-
which I'm fine with. The side that's facing the field
This
is a wall of windows, which was the side I was concerned about.
So it looks like that is projecting out its southwest,
Yeah, across.
and that any possible view from the public right of way would be
No,
from the
sagging.
east. So that would be virtually impossible to see from Sagmain.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Because it's
And-
facing,
Facing west.
Okay, what about the people across the field?
Yeah, I did that. The Golden Pines people.
See how it's rotated? It's rotated too, so it really.
And is that's, I'm assuming privet on the westerly property boundary there?
That's
or some
correct,
sort of
way, yeah. If you-
You're fine.
if it was facing the other way, or even dead on the field, I could see your point. But because it's rotated so, extreme to the west, it really faces the pond.
Those houses, cluster houses.
And the window, which is basically the same rough opening, this window over here in the center faces this hedge.
Yeah, I see that, right?
And this off this way, and there isn't any pop in the road, Sag Lane runs like, runs down, actually way out here.
Like that.
Yeah, it's 416, 76 feet away.
And by the way, the hedges go out to here.
I just want to understand, there were 3 sets of patio doors, like those
Right.
mullions
Yes.
with mullions. So
Yes.
roughly, the glass opening, the amount of glass less the mullions, it stays the same with your new slider.
Pretty much. The only difference would be it's a little bit less glass, but a little bit more because the no mullions.
Okay,
A little bit-
okay.
It's a little shorter.
Less because it's framed out, just redid the framing or brought it in a little and,
Brought it in a little bit.
okay, so the it's glass to glass.
Yes.
Yeah, what I dislike is that you're asking us to approve something, but you're only showing us one side. We've now discovered that you've changed something on the other side, even if it's just a style of window change, right? We would want to see the building as a whole and all of the sides of its effect to the neighborhood. So I don't, it's uncomfortable for me. Personally, I don't want to have
didn't
to have.
intend, I came in really to talk about the field side. I didn't realize that it was a mistake on my part, not realizing that the photos weren't sent over. I didn't think he really would care about the closets. I thought it was the field, so that's a mistake on my part. I'm not looking to, I've been working this for 6 months to try to get everything in order.
I also wonder why the construction was started and done before we are seeing it.
Why the windows were
Why you
installed.
fixed things before.
Before there was a permit that was.
Well, that's, I was under the impression I could replace the windows and doors without a permit. I did not realize that, now I do. So as soon as I found that out, John told me, I've done everything I can to try to fix it.
And you've been working with John Woods with the entire
I've been for
time.
6 months.
He was aware.
He actually, gave me the go ahead with the permit.
Okay.
And then so I continued with the work for a while to finish this out, and then we all made a mistake. He didn't realize that the side yard there was some mistake with the side yard. It was I thought it was a 20-foot side yard, and he did.
And you've already gotten a variance. And
I got the variance.
So the applicant's in substantial compliance with the village code.
I believe that, and I do appreciate that you're not asking to build something larger than what's already existing, so.
I feel a little more comfortable with a more complete presentation, personally. I would think that would, just a little more elucidation of it would potentially be a home run. Now I'm a bit of a leap of faith, which creeps up into larger leaps of faith, and all of a sudden precedents can get in the way.
Well, would the board feel more comfortable if we have photos that have come through, right, that we could put on the screen?
2 that I just put up, yeah,
Oh.
that were,
These were all the photos that I emailed, and probably what happened was too big to go through. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I don't
Neither did
have
Pat.
so this
But I have
one,
more photos of every single side, and there was nothing wasn't trying to hide anything. It was just too big of a file.
And you were working with John, so
Well,
that's fine.
Would you feel more comfortable putting it to COT and have them review the entire package just to make sure that?
Yes,
The committee of 2, you wouldn't have to come up again, just you would.
Is that all right with you, John?
It's all right. I mean, I feel that the applicant has presented a good amount of information today, especially if we can see see photographs.
Right, but
It
these are
seems that
not
we have a
part of
good
the
grasp
official
of,
file submitted. These are not part of the official file that was submitted.
well, we have to mark
We have
these
them
in the what we
now,
have to mark. And for the applicant, if you don't mind, just make sure that every photo that you've shown us and that you've emailed to them, that we have copies of it for our record keeping
Yeah.
state law requirements.
Okay.
That's my
Obviously,
point.
it's the board's decision. We can move this to a committee of two. We can move it to a vote now. The way that I see it, the applicant has made a very good faith showing of, he's worked with John Woodsma, he's obtained a variance, he's gone through a lot.
I agree,
so
I'm
far.
just saying, if we do it COT, then there's a chance to look over these things not on a TV, phone screen, but actually the way that they should be in file.
That's up to your discretion as the chair.
Okay. Is there any reason not to do that?
I think it'd be easier for everyone just to committee of two, just
Very good.
obviously, it's gonna look a lot like what we're looking at, and it's fine.
Right, okay, so if
I think that before we do vote to move it or anything, so what exactly do we want in front of the committee of two?
I personally would like to see pictures of the building on all four sides
Me too.
of what it looked like
Right.
before he replaced the windows.
if
and
it's
doors.
possible that those
If
are
possible.
recorded.
Well, would it be possible to, do you have those on deck today, or? What we can do also, I'm just looking for the sake of expedience here. If we would like to entertain another application, or listen to something else today while the applicant tries to get photographs.
There are some drone pictures, but he's not certain that they're easily attainable right now.
I mean, Google Earth might even give you
I'm
a
looking
daily
now,
glimpse of a rough opening.
I'm looking now to see.
I actually have, I actually have a, let's see, I might actually have it. They're not, I don't have a color printer, so like in black and white. Here we go.
You're just looking for a dark rectangle.
Here, you can now see from the date on this, it predates
Okay.
May 21st, you can see. Let's see if the shot is that.
Pass that around. We're gonna have to keep copies of these. Do you have copies of your own?
I can,
Oh, there,
Photocopies.
I'm good.
that shows the openings.
Sorry to be a sticker. I believe you're an honest human being. I just don't want to have the wool pulled over my
I
eyes.
understand.
Oh, see anything.
The two white lines
You do.
in between those are.
I think so. It
If
looks very
if
similar.
there's a way to get those images to us, that would be helpful,
Yes, I
because
can.
it backs up the whole.
I'm having trouble down, I had it right
See the-
here.
We could just make a photocopy right now if we would so like.
Well, I'm saying if there's a way to get the original file
This after me.
in color, that would be the best for our particular situation. So let's just do that and then we can move
Oh,
on.
here it is, here.
Right, again, it needs to be something that we can have in
I
a
can- I
file.
can-
Yeah.
Can you forward that to
right
me?
now.
If you could email it to, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
That's cool, thanks very much,
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
I can. That's a drone shot from May.
Okay.
Okay, I want to email this right now and then.
Please.
You want to-
May I
need
see?
an email or?
May I see it?
Oh, sure, I'm sorry. At least it's color.
So this was May,
Right,
this past May,
yes,
and then when you changed this, this was not, you didn't get approval to change that.
right.
Well, the applicant was working with John Woodsma and it
Yes.
was started with the idea that we were just replacing something in kind.
That's right.
And that's why it didn't immediately come to us.
And those are full glass panes.
There are three pairs of patio doors, each one.
Even if they were half glass, it'd be the top half, not the bottom, and that would be the concern for light.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
floored, it's the whole
Yeah.
panel is glass.
Based upon this new information, are we ready to?
Motion approved.
Okay, is there, so Tony's making a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, and I appreciate your continued cooperation.
Yes.
And just, again, if there's, just let's make sure that we get all the images, even if later on you have to get them printed and drop them off at Village Hall, just so we need them for the
You
file.
can email right now, that's what you need.
You're gonna send more, yes. Yeah, he'll let you know when he issues the permit.
I'm gonna be out of the country. Is there?
He will be
Email
here.
me?
Yeah, we'll let you know what he's gotta review the package and then issue the
All right,
permit.
I'll tell the guys just to hold off. It's all here for
Please.
John. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I appreciate
Thank
your patience. Sorry.
Yeah, but I need more. He's going to send me more.
Where's Olivia?
The white Audi SUV. No, that's not mine, it's the room.
Just initial and form.
Probably.
Because of the fire,
Yeah.
you know.
Everybody's home?
Yes.
Um,
That's
um,
You can, it's on the wall.
we're looking at an application. We're looking at it.
Yes.
High quality problem.
Okay, we're looking at an application for 149 Seascape now, okay? And, has he filed for a demo on this?
This was approved under the previous owner. So you have an approval for demo under the previous.
Okay. And
Which will
is
carry on.
all the paperwork complete with that, is the title search and all that?
We are still waiting for a few things on it, but it won't be issued. That's for John Woodsman has to deal with.
Right, but in the past, council has looked at the
We're not doing it in
title
this
search.
case.
The title search.
We have that, yeah.
All right, I'm just trying to make sure we're not stepping forward too fast.
Before that gets issued, we'll make sure that we have everything that's up to date.
Thank you. So, please go ahead. Sorry, it's just, we're taught to work in certain directions, so go ahead.
My name is Dan Kissinger, I'm a licensed architect and I work for Independent Primary Architects. I'm representing the builder and his property owner, his brother, 149 Seascape Lane. We're proposing to build a 5,000 square foot two-story structure, essentially a third story being the entry vestibule on the ground level. This is a flood zone, so the 2 floors are raised up above the flood zone. And the entry vestibule on the ground floor contains a staircase and an elevator shaft to get to the upper floors. Ground floor is around 200 square feet. And the first floor and second floor around 2,400, adding up to the 5,000 square feet. The design is a contemporary design, flat roof construction. They're planning on doing a stucco veneer of the color is called tuxedo gray, which is a darker tone. We have a sample over next to our builder from that Lucas up here. And the other materials that we're planning on using is from Delta Millwork. That's a sustainable wood cladding called the Mojave Thermal Radiation. Color is spicewood, which is shown right there.
What is it called, Mojave?
It's a Mojave Thermal Radiation. The color is called spicewood.
It's a composite, a wood composite.
So it's a sustainable wood cladding, so it's still
Well, it's
wood
natural
material.
wood.
Oh, okay, great.
And it's stained a color spicewood. The chimneys that we have is a slightly lighter tone, and we're planning on doing a light gray stone veneer tile from Inalco. The color is Gris Natural. And the window frames are going to be a darker gray. The color tone is called New York Gray. We have another sample as well.
It's almost like a gunmetal gray, common nowadays. You can see that a little better in the light.
And we're open to any comments that the board might have.
Just tell me about the chimneys, you said Inalco in the color?
Yeah, so the brand is Inalco, the color is Gris Natural, Gris.
Thank you.
Natural.
I don't think so. Sorry, can I ask you a question? I want to cover it. Did you say the owner's brother was a contractor, something?
Yes, Matt Lucas here, the builder, his brother is the property owner.
Got it.
We have a couple renderings from the neighbors in the nearby property, just showing what you would see from those neighbors.
Can those be any bigger
On
on the
the
TV? Thank you very much.
I have a question about the Mojave. So is it just a pre-engineered wood? Is that what it is? What is it? Sure.
It's a natural wood that they treat somehow to get it to be sustainable using it for siding. So it's not treated with like what we all know is treated wood, which is that green dye looking stuff. This is a different process that this Delta Millwork has perfected, which allows this to be a sustainable product made out of natural wood. So this is not synthetic. This is real wood that's treated with a special process to make it durable
Stained
and pre-finished at the factory.
This is just a color thing, but the renderings, it looks a lot more taupe.
Okay.
You know, sort of towards the taupey, warmer family, and the samples, because you have them, are all very more gray. So I'm just curious if that's just a.
I think it might be a printing quality, the renderer trying to match the tones that we were showing him to that. But I will make note of it.
Well, I mean, it's not about the rendering so much, but I'm just, this is obviously the color palette they're proposing, which is gray.
And yeah, to further that, a design which is relying solely on materials to blend in or very much not blend in. And we've seen subjective rendering so much before that then had difficult sort of consequences. I think a really cautious approach to seeing the materials, even in the renderings, and keeping lighting things as less objective as possible would go a long way to getting a challenging design across.
I have a question. What material is this around the pool, the stone?
The material for around the stone patio.
That's a natural stone. It's not like a,
So we were planning on doing
Porcelain
the
paper.
porcelain paper, like it's the same type of tones that we're.
It almost looked like this.
And what's the overall height? I'm sure it's somewhere.
No, it's 14 feet for FEMA,
okay.
and then each floor, so this
The
comes in,
plans, what
this
does it
comes
come in
in
at?
at 39 feet.
This comes in at.
I believe that's correct.
Page A7, on the left side, so taken from the flood zone of elevation 14, going up to 25 feet. So 25-foot max building height to the top there. So that would be elevation 39, so under the elevation 40.
Sorry, so each floor is what? The second and the third floors?
So the bottom floor or the ground level
Right.
is going to plus minus, I would say 8 to 8.5 feet
And that's what it's supposed to be for,
to
FEMA.
clear the FEMA
Okay.
regulations. First floors.
14 foot is FEMA, and then each of the two floors are on.
And the first floor is the 10-foot height, and then the second floor, 8'6".
Thank you.
Well, I'm just first digestion of the plans, to me it feels very industrial. And not as sort of warm and cyberponic farm like. I know there are a lot of modern homes in the area, but to me just feels very sort of angular and not really built into some of the modern homes are kind of built into the environment, whether it's with berms or landscaping, where they're sort of nestled into their area. And to me, this just feels very sort of coming right out of the concrete,
Sort of corporate,
yeah.
if you would.
From my understanding of FEMA regulations is that you're not really supposed to change the grade as much. We're trying to keep a natural grade of the site, which is it's pretty flat. Trying to keep, if they have an existing pool that we're trying to keep level with the
Right,
ground
yeah.
level.
Some of us have been to the property.
Yeah, I was there. I think mainly just sort of seeing this through the field is I think the problem I'm sort of trouble.
We did provide a rendering of a field view.
Yeah.
Would be image number 10.
Where's the wetland from this? I can't.
So the wetland, if you want to bring us to a site plan on the architecturals, A3. The wetlands are essentially directly to the south, so the bottom of the site plan, as you see it right there.
Yeah, it seems to be sort of blocky and geometric. And yet there's not any, it's kind of hard to see the front of the house, there's not a back, there's not, it's just sort of blocks. And it's,
Well, the plan, I think, is quite clever, actually. You know, the way you have the mechanical room and that triangle, and you have privacy, you know, for different wings.
I think we also took into effect the different views that we could get from the house as well, doing the different angles. We have some view of the ocean and also the bay side, which is the reason for the change in orientation. We also saw the neighboring property, which is, I don't remember the number, but
38.
138, I believe, Seascape Lane has the same exact, not exact, I'm sorry.
well, it's similar, but
similar.
it also has differences in what extrudes from the main block. And it also has the glass, but it also incorporates a fair amount of siding that complements and draws you in. It's a lot of wood siding. I think it's 139. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's Bates Massey, and there's connectors that are glass, and to compare the two, I'm not saying one's great or one's problematic, but it lacks that that sense that there's continuity. What we're really looking at with that is this box that has different angles for your views and so forth. I understand that, but it lacks the conversation, the vocabulary between, as Megan says, bringing in some of the natural elements. I can't recall right now whether that's FEMA compliant or not. I think it was. When we saw that, that was last year, I think. But again, it's sort of factory-ish, it's sort of hotelish. It's not really something that's bringing you into it and having a visual conversation. It's just kind of massive, and then there's a large amount of glass, which, as we've mentioned, we get a lot of feedback about night glow. Your renderings show up lighting, which is not going to be permitted. So if you want to, it would be best to upgrade that so that it's actually compatible. And I think from the community's perspective, the 39-foot roof line, and we haven't really analyzed Tony's comment about what the interior is finished with and how much reflectiveness off the ceilings and so forth. We haven't really looked at this, analyzed the size of the glass yet on that. But I anticipate that there's a fairly large amount of emission towards the ocean, which is also all public viewscape across the land trust. Is that right, Tom? And then down to the public beach. So there's a lot of perspectives from the public's
This has a
virtual concern.
Has a theme. Yeah, fixtures and things, but I don't think it really is. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's reflections of trees.
Yeah, and that can't be illuminated,
Yeah,
so.
that makes sense.
It's gonna take time to digest, I think, a little bit. For us,
I think maybe, and again, we are accountable to all the residents and homeowners here. it comes off a bit like a zero-sum game, where you have this sort of monolithic wall that we're approached with in order for your clients to have these angles of various views. So I think if maybe you could soften the approach for neighbors to go by and stuff. Again, this is easy for where I'm sitting, but changes in elevation that make it seem maybe built at different times, or maybe it's to come up with multiple structures. But here it's very much a single structure despite all the interesting angles and stuff. The one exception is here, where you do sort of have a distinct break. And if this could look like a small hamlet instead of one sort of large monolithic, I think you'd still be able to catch the view in a lot of ways.
I do have a rendering also, I didn't mention that this property is a flag lot, it is set back from the street. So when you do approach the house, it is off in the distance a little bit. Rendering number should be close to the first.
No.
I was right there a second.
The house is like
Yes.
here
Yes.
now.
Thank you.
And if you don't, there's not, I'm happy to go back and take a look at that. Okay.
That's not off the street, that's off the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, nice.
As I say, I think with a little bit of time to digest it, and if you can understand that some of the renderings are a little bit misleading with the exterior lighting. If there's a way of introducing the idea of some wood to the exterior, I think that would soften the impact of it, of the mass. And
Like a
also,
natural wood or something.
perhaps, yeah, similar to what was used in 139.
And Bates Massey does that, horizontal grid of wood, that softens, some of the, you know what I mean,
Visual
instead of
impact
can't,
and
a bit,
solidity of it.
you know what I'm talking about, right? The slats,
So we want to bring up maybe the front of the house showing a lot more of the wood on the front there. All we have is pretty much just decorative
Could you zoom in?
stucco going around, except for the one portion on the left side has a lot more. But that's more of just an element that's kind of breaks up everything else of the building. So I guess more of the back of the house being more stucco, if there was more wood introduced to the back of the house, since there's a lot of stucco in that, yes, okay.
and those,
I think it's a very-
slats and the trellis look like
Yeah, that's all
little
slats right there on the right side, right up behind that tree in the middle of the rendering.
Yes, yeah. I like
So it's
those.
stucco framing the wood, really, so it's that, and then obviously, the majority of the walls is the wood. I mean, we can choose a different finish on the wood, if you like the more natural look, the more weathered wood look.
If we went with a natural looking wood, but in the same material, is that going to be okay, or
The sun.
is it more of you want the natural wood material? Because
I like the wood you have there,
Yeah.
personally.
you like the gray,
I love that color.
yeah.
Are you looking at that or that?
No, this is what we're gonna use right here, despite what that rendering
So,
shows.
so in this particular illustration that we've zoomed into, what is the spacing of the
The
slabs?
slabs. We left about 3 to 4 inches in between, and each one is about 1.5 to 2 inches thick.
Okay,
That's going to be the stair wall, and there's an elevator in the middle of the stairs going around.
okay. And so the resulting effect or adjustment to clear glass in the emission is, could you take a stab at that?
35%,
I'm sorry?
35 at 3 inches with 1.5 inch.
Well, I'm asking for them, what their sense of how much of that screening is working
So
on light emission.
from my
is question.
experience and doing a lot of these calculations for the lighting calculations and all, it's about 30% reduction of the visible light coming out of the window.
And these are straight horizontal or are they angled or?
Horizontal, yeah.
I think my perspective is that it's feeling a little too office looking and less modern farm old Sagaponic. And I feel very strongly that there's too much glass overall. That's my idea.
So along with the, trying to go off of that, it's very hard to go with since it's a flood zone house, it's very hard to go to a modern barn style. If you have any type of pitched roof, you have to stay under maximum building height of elevation 40, and it really eliminates a lot of the square footage that you could have on that second floor, which is kind of why we went with the contemporary design. 138, and I believe the other house behind 138 are contemporary designs. We tried to mimic those.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. How does anybody else feel that it's too office looking?
A little bit too long. Yeah, maybe
Do
the
you think
brown,
it's
I
the-
think
brown.
Do you think it's the colorations?
Yes, I think the brown is too brown, it should
It's
be.
not gonna be brown, it's gonna be gray and black.
But I think that also the stucco.
Right, that's what I'm getting at. In other words, if this was like a beigey or a taupey woodish tone
Yeah.
with the wood set inside, it wouldn't frame it as.
I think that would help because you're identifying
Right.
the mass so greatly with this
Right.
space. So
I think that's what's
that,
reminiscent of office,
Yeah,
right?
or
You're
you're having
feeling
a-
the concrete, looks like a concrete,
Right.
you
or
know,
areas where you don't
framing.
have the stucco on the roof, it might read as different elevation heights. It's just you do
Right.
identify the single roof line.
We have a comment from the public, or are you the applicant or with the applicant or a public member?
No, these are neighbor.
Neighbor, sorry.
Yeah, do you have a question,
John, you have to identify your,
comment?
yeah.
I'm not, I'm admiring your work.
Introduce himself, so
Right,
that it's on the record.
We would love to hear what you have to say when you.
Mark, if you,
There are two big houses down there that are built in the same manner of modern big hospital-ish.
Yeah.
This would be a third.
Mark, it is important for the sense of record if you identify yourself and give us
There is-
your address, okay?
Mark Mott, 154 Seascape Lane,
Thank you.
small house. But I worry about the light emission from what I have now.
Right.
Right.
In this rear view number 5, this is portrayed as a deck. Is that
Yes.
correct? What type of railing are you proposing for that?
It's going to be glass frame.
Glass, okay. And that oftentimes is reflective in at night, it kind of ends up becoming a little bit more of a visual situation with that. So it's not shown on here, but if that's what your intention is, it needs to show up and then perhaps work out a night rendering with reflectivity of the glass railing.
If there's a treatment that we could do to the glass that prevents any type of reflectivity, to something like that, that we could maybe propose to you, is that something?
That's a
Yeah.
point to work through, yes.
But there's definitely still too
Just
many
other-
pains.
We could do other options, cable railings.
Right.
Cable,
Things like that. Okay.
Can everyone hear me? I'm zooming in from Connecticut.
Just a moment. What I'd like to do is just clear up some of the comments from the board and from the applicant, and then I would entertain having folks speak online from the Zoom, okay? If you could hold on for a couple minutes more. Were there any other elementary concerns that we haven't covered at this point?
This is more of a Woodsman question, but with the hot tub, is it the same requirement of a pool with a 3-foot railing, 3 foot?
Yes, that plan needs a little bit more.
Yeah, that would probably obviate the use of cables. You'd have to have. the
Well,
ca-
around that, but also the fact that you
The
need
whole-
something around the whole
Around the whole.
perimeter of the deck, yeah.
Which we do, since we have the pool on the site, we do have a perimeter fencing
Oh, for the whole thing.
around the back.
We have to put those chain alarms, pool alarms for all the doors.
Yes.
Still haven't taken mine off.
Any other general comments from the board?
I feel that the dark is too dark and it gives it, combined with all the glass and that's what gives it the industrial look, you know what I mean? If you could modify that in some way, that would be,
I have a lighter
We
gray
do have a
stucco.
lighter stucco sample.
that would be good, and to rethink the glazing, I think would be a really good, I mean, I understand you have to have a flat roof, otherwise you have no second floor, really, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so with the height restriction and FEMA,
Bigger first floor footprint and then.
yeah, and then you have a
100
huge,
dormers.
Yeah,
Love
small
that.
dormers.
yeah, I mean, that's pretty bad too, so if you
Yeah.
just try to, get that industrial look away, that would be good.
I'd say on the fifth view looking north again, so it'd be the east side of the building, with the stairs going up to. That just sort of comes off as much lighter, much more inhabited and everything, less monolithic.
So which area?
This area here, I think is really effective at having the same volume, but just so much lightness and stuff to it. I think it would,
So like
this-
lighting is good.
yeah, even though you have to see it, it would really, that kind of thing sort of humanizes the space more.
Sure.
Um,
Matt just brought in the sample of the lighter stucco compared to the darker. If we were to mix the lighter stucco with some natural colored wood siding, I think that would warm up the
A real
structure,
wood,
eliminate a real wood tone to it. Maybe eliminating some of the bands going around, giving it that office shape, just having the wood going up to maybe a wood cap at the parapet. Okay.
So
I mean,
feel like,
if you want to frame out the windows, it's kind of hokey, but I don't know, just something to,
Warm it up.
yeah, chart it out.
Hopefully FEMA can take some of this blame too, not just us.
Yeah.
They do make it so difficult because you have to, you're still in Sagaponic, so we.
And then instead of having this image has a lot of columns keeping up the deck, but the rest of the house, I didn't want this house to look like it was on a tabletop. So we introduced a lot of the breakaway construction. On the right side of this image right now, you see a lot of slats going around. Those you could actually see through. Yeah, but it's a lot of wood in that case, and we try to introduce a little bit more trees like you see in the front and bushes to kind of make it so that it doesn't look like a 3-story structure going all the way up, that it's kind of covering the ground level.
Again, armchair quarterbacks must be very annoying for, architects, but showing a heavier landscaping of the deck to give it that ground floor kind of feel.
Okay. So around the ground level, but around the deck, so the
Yeah,
columns.
I think you could really sell that as the ground floor,
Sure.
and then the FEMA is just, they're.
Yeah.
They're.
I feel like the columns have, they don't have much,
Character.
maybe they could be.
So I like
They
those.
seem, well, they could be articulated in another way,
Yeah.
or change variation, or,
Like it's part of construction now.
Yeah, I think the overhang also, the overhang gives it a very office feeling, the one that's on the front door and the one that's on the left there. Make it feel officey.
Oh, this,
Yeah.
does that function just for sunshine?
I'm sorry, for which?
The overhang.
So that is for a balcony. It's gonna have a glass railing. The master bedroom is on that side with some views from the to the water, I should say.
When we get to light emission, maybe considering more of obfuscating railing up there would.
And this little extension here serves what function?
So that's just a landing for the stairs going down into the pool deck. So you could access from the backyard, going up the staircase to that.
So there's a
rear deck.
stair here that starts
Yes.
on here.
Oh,
and
I
goes
see it.
down.
behind the tree.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Behind the tree.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Right.
Sorry, I think you said this before, but so is there railing? I mean, what's
It's a glass railing at the moment, yes.
around the deck?
Around the entire deck going.
I think definitely if you could make the third floor smaller and the floor underneath it, maybe a little bit wider, so that makes it more feel like a home than an office.
Just gonna play with the volume.
So it's a vocabulary of shape, yeah.
I just want to say that I like a flat roof modern house, and I don't think that is, just to be clarified, I don't think that's the issue. It's not about that, it's not about it needing to change, but from that concept. But I think that there are, being introduced in Sagaponic, a lot of beautiful flat roof, houses, and in other parts of the Hamptons that have, again, more context, that feel warmer, that do feel like they're kind of coming from they have an interplay with the nature that we live in here, right? And I think what everyone is saying about it feeling officey, which I agree with, just has a lot to do with also, and I like stucco, but the heavy use of it sort of as, in the volumes it's being used in all, and it's right on all of those corners. I don't know if, again, you're the architect, so I don't know if, I think Tony said it's taking it off the roof line or using it in a different way, or, I don't know, but it's very, it feels like the spaces inside would be very rectilinear and just very like office-like.
This side of the house has variation and it's softer, and if you could work something out with this side.
Sure.
I don't think it's just a lighter stucco.
It has to be a little bit more than
I think it's just a.
changing color. Yeah.
Okay.
Introducing more about the wood.
So I would like to at least hear what the, do you recall the person who had spoken up? Thank you. What was the name?
Chris Crawford.
Crawford?
Yeah, Crawford came in as Fred, but Christine is on too.
Christine, or is there a member of the?
Hi, yep, this is Christine. I'm on Fred's Zoom. My microphone wasn't working. So I live at 113 Seascape Lane, so I'm right next door to the two brand new modern homes that went up in the last couple years. And I will say it has negatively impacted the air quality, the ocean breezes, and the lights. So my concern is the total additional square footage combined with the total overall elevation will negatively impact the homes at the end of the cul-de-sac, their view looking north and their view looking west. These structures are massive. And when you have modern homes with all the glass, the problem is at night, everyone can see in. So what happens is two things. People have the blackout shades all the way down, and basically you don't get any views because you're just looking at your window treatment, or they're all the way up. It's one or the other. When you have those big picture windows, there's no in between unless you get creative with your window treatments, which nobody does. And so it becomes a globe at night and all the lights are reflecting throughout the whole street. So it has hugely impacted the quality of living on Seascape. And my concern is that this home will have that impact as well. There's gorgeous homes which are transitional. You have a much fewer windows. The people living in the homes get a better view outdoors, and they don't have to feel like they're exposed, like they're in the fishbowl, because when you have modern homes, you have one or the other. So my opinion is, having built homes in Connecticut, is you want to look at your total additional combined square footage, the elevation that will impact the neighbors, and a way to reduce the windows by a fraction, and maybe have a more transitional vibe with the windows so that you're not in a situation where you're creating a globe on the street. And as I mentioned before, there's two modern homes that went right up next to me, and it has clearly impacted the sunlight, the sunset. The reason why you moved to Seascape, the reason why you have a home in the Hamptons is to get the ocean breeze, to get the beautiful sunset vistas, and it's becoming too institutional on that street. And I know there's another home, catty corner behind me, that's going to be knocked down and built. So it's just, unfortunately, it's really changing the vibes. And I think keeping with the FEMA regulations, I think there are much more creative ways to build a beautiful home that will fit the needs of the family, but not negatively impact the current residents on the neighborhood. And you could even talk to the residents who live in the modern homes, and that is their complaint. You either have your windows wide open where you're during the day where people can't see in, but at night everyone can see in. So then you're in a situation where it's you have a blackout shade down, or you're creating this aura, this globe that radiates onto the street. So and I do feel it negatively impacts the people living on the street. So that's just my personal opinion, having lived on Seascape now for 11 years and lived through 3 major construction projects of modern homes right on top of me. And quite honestly, and I'll end with this, I feel like I'm living in New York City. That's part of why I moved out of Manhattan, because I didn't like that I was in an apartment building. And then the neighbors right behind me, right in front of me, you're staring, at somebody in their apartment, and that's beginning to feel like Seascape, because these massive structures are so boxy that you're beginning to get that, closed in feeling.
Okay, thank you very much.
Christine, did you say something about air quality?
Yes, because it used to be I could keep my windows open, my second floor, and that's where my master bedroom is, and I get that nice ocean breeze because my master bedroom faces kind of east-south. But now, because those 2 modern structures are next to me, it takes away from the breeze coming in, because those buildings block the height, they're blocking the air quality, the wind coming in. Because you have to remember, I had 2 homes that were smaller, both of them are taken down, and now they're 2 massive boxy modern structures. So the ocean breeze, which is south, that would blow into my master bedroom, is no longer existent. And right now my view west so far has been protected because the front of the house faces west, but where the side of my house faces south, all those that breeze from the ocean, which is part why I moved to Seascape, to feel that ocean breeze, is now gone. And that's my concern for building one more modern structure. It's going to be one more structure that's going to impact the air flowing through, coming from the ocean, because that house will be south of my home, south of all the other homes on Seascape.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very
That's really
much
helpful.
for your clarification.
We'll do the best we can to support the neighbors.
All right, any other thoughts or comments at this point? And do you have any questions about what we've mentioned? Please.
I think I got a good list of.
It's a lot, I'm sorry. It's a lot.
All right, very good. Tony, any
No, I think our
discussion?
concerns were
Okay.
consistent with the neighbors.
Okay, very good. So I did entertain a motion to adjourn at this point, and the date in December is moved up because of Christmas, so the meeting date would be the 18th. All right, that would be the next meeting.
It's not currently inhabited, is it?
Well, this is not the,
Oh, no, where the space is.
is someone living in the present house?
No.
Okay.
That toward that. So, and you don't mind if I go just on the driveway, just so next time I know that.
That's one question, if you could have the square footage of your proposed and the existing,
Sure.
and even make models showing the volume of of your building as opposed to what's there, that would be helpful.
But
I
I
mean, or
think-
just a cardboard, chipboard model.
One other thought, you have the very highest window in the existing structure is close to where your third floor would be. If you could take some photographs from that height,
To show.
that might be helpful too, just to give us a sense of what.
For views out to the neighboring properties.
Correct. Yes. Thank you. Because that one piece is pretty darn high, as I remember, on the site. Yeah.
I mean, the FAR, it's what it is, right? They're allowed to build a certain size house on a certain acreage of land.
Correct.
So, you know, whether you choose to put a breezeway in or something like that, there's nothing really to be, or make the second or third floor smaller.
And
You're
if
gonna
we
build the size
make
you're gonna-
If we make the first floor bigger, then it's a lot of more of the site that has to get taken up. We have to maintain a certain distance from the property line for parking and all the other
Right.
stuff.
It's a lot of considerations.
Yeah.
I think also the design doesn't show what is FEMA requirement. You know, you have this negative unusable space, but it is covered and hidden. So maybe you just convey to people, it's like, hey, see this first 14 feet, we have no choice. You know, sort of right here, between this and this area, I know there's some empty space. That might convey, again, our ground floor is at 14 feet, thanks to FEMA.
You mean in like a 3D model like that?
Or just color it, or just shade it,
Yeah.
make it green or something, unusable space.
Yeah, because we do have the construction drawings have a ground floor level floor plan that'll just show.
Yeah.
It's essentially just 200 square feet of the staircase and the elevator going up.
That's the interior, we're just saying that the whole thing is,
Yeah.
right, 14.
Well, there's space under here that's unusable, that's just.
Just
because-
shade it in such a way.
Or even, I
Make
would,
it's really obvious.
Make it open.
yeah, I was thinking even widening the slats enough so you
So
could
you
see that it was, you know, you should.
Picture
Everything
the
was on-
sense of mass.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Then what's an airflow? Apparently,
That's it.
that's a thing. Now we know. That's helpful.
But another site that was done recently or planned out recently is on Sandton Court, where a certain amount of berm was added so that it softened the massiveness of the structure.
What's the architect's name? Not sure.
Gotcha.
What
Yeah,
address is it?
I can't recall, but it's on the.
Do you know the
if
house I'm
you-
talking about?
Yeah.
That's
What is
at
it? Not sort of-
64.
64 Sandton Court, yeah.
Oh, Sandy.
That would
That's my
actually,
concern also with like the FEMA regulations, if let's say a wave comes by,
Mhm.
it could take some of that dirt away and wash up the rest of the property. And that's.
It simplifies, just, yeah, it just simplifies it a little bit
Yeah.
and makes it a little bit more, less massive.
And the way the drive approached it, it sort of felt very much in the elements. A part of the elements, if you will, in that area. Just something else we've seen.
So motion to adjourn, would be.
So moved.
Thank you. And second?
Second.
Ah.
Third, fourth.
Uh,
Thanks, guys.
All those in favor?
Aye, thank you.
Thank you. So, I'd like to just go through the adjournment for 565. Is there a motion to adjourn that? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, thank you, Alicia, and is there a second? For that adjournment?
Thank you, folks.
Okay. All right,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
I'm glad you were here.
All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
This is 149, he's 151.
I hear you. Okay.
Tom, who's second?
Megan, on the adjournment or on the
Yes,
565? What did you have?
565.
Okay, yes, that was Megan. All right. And we're up to 555 Sag Pond Road with the gate. Is that been passed out? Okay, thank you. So this is a little bit more simplified, thank you.
No, I don't. Thank you, though.
John, would you get one, please?
I have one here.
Okay, all right, very good.
Yes, I will.
So, this has been simplified as requested. Were there any comments on it?
The drawing looks different. There's arches here and there's not arches here.
Okay.
Sorry, the
When
drawing is
you
different.
join, it's rounded
in the
and.
middle there. I think this looks better.
I agree,
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
This
this
is better,
discrepancy in the
yeah.
picture.
The picture, the photo, the rendering looks better. I think that's just a mistake. I can have that taken off.
So we're saying this
Yes.
little bit,
That
okay.
little-
and just to go over the, it's concealed welded. It looks relatively black. Were you planning to treat
No,
the cedar, or is it just the
no,
color of the
it's- I
rendering?
think that this is just a black and white.
Mhm.
Well, this is
Okay.
just black and white.
Right.
This is just, I think, the color of it. It's supposed to be just cedar. That's naturally,
Okay.
I guess this is the weathered version of it.
And it has these two, the drawing has these two little things as well as the
As the top.
arches, yeah. So it would just be, cut them off like the,
Yes, the drawing would be revised to match what's shown.
Okay, if you can get those into us, that would be.
Sure.
How far is it set back?
This is the one that's way
No, I
down
mean
at
the
the end
gate
of
from
the. The setback on it is about 18 feet, I recall.
supposed to be
It was,
something
it's 800 feet from the road.
Right,
From
but
the
just
common
from your line. Because it's not on.
It's about 18 feet,
19 feet, okay,
18 or 19 feet.
and you have a call box that's like 12 feet or something like that? You do have a call box, right, or is it just
Yes,
a, yeah, okay,
yes.
that's what I recall.
Yeah, it's just in.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, your setback is It's not, it's a shared driveway, the setback is different.
And there's only one house. whose-
At that point,
Whose
right.
entrance is beyond this.
Right.
So only one person, or only people for one house would drive.
Right, okay,
So we took the recommendations of the board and we tried to
Right.
match it as
I remember.
far as we could.
Okay, so, is it okay to mark this as altered?
Yeah, we could do that, or we could just rely solely on color rendering.
I promise that it's not gonna be black.
Oh, it won't be. It'll be clear. Clear treatment of natural sea.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve as submitted with the understanding that it would be natural cedar? And depicted in the pictorial rendering. Thank you, all right.
So
Okay.
who made the first?
Alicia.
And who made the second?
Catherine.
Thank you.
No, I don't know what I did with my list. Okay. All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. You have copies of the law.
And did we all say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, very good, thank you. And now we are down to our discussion item. And we need a permit to sign off on it. It pushes out hard, there you go, thank you.
Thank you.
Done, did you sign off on that? So I can go back to them. John, you wanna come up?
We get these all back.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
What's that?
Good afternoon. I'm a little hoarse,
All right.
from allergies, but I'm not dying.
Okay.
Sounds like it. I've returned after last month. And at the last meeting, the question that I had asked for a determination of whether or not this shop stable is a stock building or not was left unresolved. And there seemed to be some hesitation about making any determination. And that it kind of kicked the can down the road until somebody applies specifically to demolish or alter that structure. I hope at this meeting we can come to some conclusion on this. Provided to you, I believe, was a copy of a letter I wrote to your chairman requesting further discussion of the status of this building, as well as a more detailed history of the building with its measurements. I also requested, and I hope that you did visit the site and see for yourself what we're talking about. As you can see, the building has been substantially changed from what was originally constructed.
Yes.
And I did ask Ann Sanford, the former chair of this board, and who was the leading authorities on historic buildings in the village. It's easy to get a hold of. She did tour the building and said she thought there was nothing historic whatsoever about it.
Okay.
But
I'm
I don't know.
I'm gonna ask that the board has a chance to read this, because this is the first time we're seeing this. The notes that are highlighted about in your, I'm not sure when we got this. It's not
This morning.
this morning. The code, your notes on the code.
Oh,
Yeah.
did you distribute them? I was hoping you could put it up on the screen and we could discuss
Right there.
Okay. One point that has come up and discussed with council and so forth is you're asking us to make a decision in a discussion item.
it.
Okay. And the thing is that if it were an application to demo, you're taking away the opportunity for your potential buyer to utilize that for something else.
Well,
Is that correct?
no, I don't want to demolish it.
Okay.
But I believe, and Tom, we did do this in the past, when the Matheson family asked this board to inspect and to assess the Peters workshop.
No, it was the writing house, yeah, the cottage.
Yeah, whether or not that would or could be deemed historic and could not be demolished, the board rendered a decision.
Right.
I understand this is not on the agenda as a decision item.
Right.
But on the other hand, this is not a hypothetical question. Someone did ask the building inspector his opinion on this, whether or not they could, whether or not the building was historic. And the building inspector said, I can't tell you that. It's the Ahrb, which makes that determination.
Right.
Now, I would argue that you have an obligation to property owners in this village to inform them if they have any structure on their property that could possibly be considered historic. Not to wait until some new owner or somebody else comes in with a specific application. In every other single aspect of land use in this village, a homeowner, if he reads the code, checks his survey, goes to the building inspector, they can get a determination of what their rights are in terms of size of building, placement of building. The only thing that he can't determine is the aesthetic value, which is really the purpose of your board. So I don't see why the board should shy away from, nothing is going to change. The building is either historic or it isn't. 10 years from now, it's not going to be any more or less historic. And I don't see why the board cannot do that.
Okay, let's go ahead and go over your remarks on the code then.
You could come up.
deem it not historic, then the buyer, potential buyer, owner has the choice to keep it or not keep it.
And actually, in all deference to your attorney, prepared a proposed resolution of what I'm talking about. You want to distribute that, Pat? Up to the
Well,
chase?
I think we ought to go over what you're
Okay,
trying to
let's-
say here, to convince us that
I can obviously not read that, but, no, better, yes.
Do you want this one?
No, I have one.
Okay, great.
Actually. You can go point by point down this code. This definition of an historic structure, as it appears in our code. And I do not see, and if you feel that this building falls in any one of these categories, please say so, because it is not listed on our historic register. It's not, when the board decided we would try and protect some historic structures that were not in the historic district. We did an inventory and we identified additional structures in the village that we felt were historic and should be preserved, or some effort should, some consideration should be given to preservation.
Was that property as a whole or individual structures within each property?
That's what properties as a whole.
Okay.
Well,
The property as a whole.
they
is
were
specific.
actually, they are specific structures. The whole park properties have never been deemed
Deemed all this, yeah.
historic. We're talking historic structures.
Okay.
And so I do not see how in relationship to this particular structure, any of those different clauses apply whatsoever. Now, we have other sections of the code which go to the landmarks. This section really is kind of a boiled into one paragraph, is pretty much all of the specific that appear in the criteria for state and national historic designation. And again, and going through the business of associated with famous people or contributing to the overall historic significance I don't see how any of this applies.
the property is in the district, is that
The
correct?
property is in the district.
Okay.
But I mean, just conversationally, there are 4 buildings on the property. There's the main house, there's the carriage house, there's the guest house, and there's this shop stable.
And are the other 3 homes, the other 3 structures?
The main structure, the main dwelling unit is very much listed in both the national, there's no question that this is a historic structure. The carriage house that was built at the same time is ignored. It has been altered. It has not been expanded, but it's been altered. Dormers were added in the roof over the years. The main entrance to it which used to be facing the stable, was revised and now faces the street. But by and large, that still is in what I would consider to be its historic envelope. And even though it is not designated historic, I would hope that if a person came here and asked you to determine whether or not you considered it to be historic in terms of our building codes, I would hope you would so deem it.
Okay.
The shop we're discussing, and you've seen it, the guest house is really a much more modern invention. It was actually originally a chicken coop, which has grown to thrice its size. However, the people who have enlarged it, myself included, but also the previous owner, have tried to make it appear as much in the vernacular of the main house as possible. But it is not historic. Other than we've tried to make it look historic. So let's get to the code. The third. I mean, the code here is very, very clear. It lists two considerations that if there were to be a demolition application, that you would have to consider. And I do not believe that either of these two, whether the building or structure contributes to the character of the village in any unique or special manner. Do you believe that applies to this building?
And even the arches are the only element
The
are
arches have all been rebuilt.
and they're repeated in your main house as well.
And they are repeated over and over again in little
So they're not unique.
ticky-tacky garages built to try and look like they're historic. The other is whether the demolition or removal will cause substantial detriment to the public welfare or substantial deviation for the purpose and intent of this article. I'm not quite sure what that extra clause is, but if you believe that this would, the demolition or removal would cause substantial detriment to the public, which can't even see it. So, I mean, on that basis, I would like you to consider, could you just distribute that?
Yes. Thank you.
You want me to read it for the record? Sure. This is a proposed resolution on this application, which is not really well, it's an application because I'm applying. After site visits, review of photographs and pertinent sections of the village code, and the presentation by the owner of 31 Hedges Lane at the Ahrb meetings of October 24th and November 27th, the board has determined that the workshop/storage building as it now exists on the eastern boundary of the property at 31 Hedges Lane is not deemed a historic structure in regard to any future application for alterations or demolition, and in no way binds the board to anything in terms of approvals or recommendations on any application it submits, but at least it gives the current owner and any future owner the knowledge that they are not constrained by the demolition clause, or the other considerations in terms of remodeling or altering or adding to the building. So I'd be interested in your reactions.
I mean, in the October meeting, before I had walked through and around, I was very attached to the arches, and they thought that there were horses in there one day and that that's what life was then, right? That I wanted to preserve. And then I went over there, and because your main home is historic, and there are the other structures, which I do feel also the guest house should be historic.
Well, it can't be historic.
It can't
So
be.
it's constructed after 1960.
It can't be.
Well, I don't think it can be.
It lends itself to this situation and the historical reference that you might have towards the property, but it is not something that late. The
And when
construction is not.
I expanded it during the life of the village. The building permit was issued for an addition to it, which was constructed.
The cottage, what you're referring to is the cottage.
That's the
It's
special-
the- it's the
Right,
building
so the
to the
two-story
east.
garage apartment, you can see that it went with, that was built when the house was built, right?
Which,
Carriage house.
The
Yeah,
carriage
carriage
house,
oh,
okay,
was built,
Okay.
yes, I have a photograph of it.
okay, so those two are,
Built.
so the cottage was made in the sixties, apparently.
Well, it was a chicken coop that was enlarged
Right,
twice.
right.
It has been worked on
Known as,
periodically, but it was originally a chicken coop.
yeah, why not take them all down? The cottage and the stable.
I don't want to take anything down.
Let's focus rather on that one,
I think
one particular.
to finish my statement, because the other buildings on the property are so historic, and when I went to see it, the addition that was put on it and the roofing and the details of it didn't make me feel like it was what it was when I was actually on the property. So I don't feel it's as historic as I once thought in the October meeting.
I agree, not so historic.
I can continue that, like I said last time, and even looking at it, you said it was 25%, but really the historic part was the iron gates and the interior tacking. So you're talking about 7%, you're talking about just the arches that show any real significance.
The gates have been removed.
Yeah, and to find a proper steward, future steward for this property, we don't want to give them some, bit of minutia they have to deal with that is probably scare them off. Exactly.
So from a procedural standpoint, this board does have the power in our discretion to declare a property or a structure rather, a landmark. That's in several different places in the code. Section 245-73 gives a list of not less than 7 factors that we can weigh in finding if a structure is historic or not. What we do need to keep in mind, though, is that that's not the end of the analysis, that, as Mr. Lockline pointed out, we also have the obligation to review every demolition permit that comes in. So what we need to keep in mind, and to begin with the end in mind, is that if we make a finding that the structure is historic now, if a future owner of the property comes in with a demolition permit, it somewhat ties our hand to later say that it's not historic. And the converse applies, vice versa. If we find that the structure is not historic or is historic now, it makes it that much more difficult for this board or members of this board in the future to then go back and say, absent some intervening occurrence, if there's a fire, if the property is damaged to a degree that it's not worth restoring, to say this is not historic or that this is historic. So we are within our rights to make our determination, but we need to keep in mind that can affect how a demolition permit is treated down the road. And on a procedural note, we have this on today for a discussion item, so I think it might not be the most appropriate thing to do to make a decision if it's not on for a decision, and has a proper application been made, I know at least one thing that I had a question of, are you, Mr. Lockheim, the full 100% owner of Tri-J Properties?
No,
And Tri-J Properties is currently the fee owner of the premises?
yes,
Okay, so we would need at the very minimum an owner's authorization.
that's my children.
Okay, so we would just need an owner's authorization, the form exists, from your children.
I'd be happy to make an application, but you perhaps can instruct the village staff in what an application of this nature should contain and look like. And I will be happy to comply with that. In terms of it, I don't understand how this in any way constrains the powers of this board in the future. If the building is not historic now, how does it become historic 10 years from now?
Because we need to go through the analysis when a demolition permit is filed, if a demolition permit is
Well, then
filed,
that should
as
exceed
if the historicity of the building is. But what I'm advising my board as counsel is that if we make a decision formally as a board now, that will be essentially binding down the road if a demolition permit comes in. If we say on the record, if we
Unless you
vote
change
that this is
the
historic,
requirements for a demolition permit.
that's always possible, but I'm all looking at the code as it's printed, at the black letter law. And that if we do make a determination now, which nothing bars us from doing either way or not doing, that determination and I can say it as an attorney, any good attorney who would come in representing an applicant for demolition would say, oh, here is the resolution in which this board found that this was not a historic structure.
That's exactly what I'm asking for. That's exactly what I'm asking for.
So that's why the board needs to understand that that is a possibility.
If we are bound by the bylaw or by the village requirements, and whether that is the board at any time can deem the structural historic, then we can make this agreement now, knowing that if the world's filled with glass boxes and there's no more stables left and we just need that one, we can go through the process of making that historic.
Yes.
But can we go on record to say that Mr. Lockheim's analysis of the property is pretty irrefutable?
Well, we could just say, after reviewing all of these documents, you know, I have at least the letters of the applicant of October 10th, 2023, the letter of the applicant of October 24th, 2023. We find that the structure is not historic because, you know, the interior has been gutted, the wrought iron elements have been since removed from the property. The only part of the property of the structure that's historic or that has character are those two arches, and that it would be a massive undertaking to try to renovate a building around just one little wall. That's something that the board could do. But I guess I'm just hoping that I'm understanding and addressing your question correctly, that yes, we can
Still a
make
living
a
document
finding. A living document to an extent, yes, and intervening circumstances if for some reason there's electrical fire or God forbid something happens and the structure is essentially burnt down to, you know, a few feet off the ground, then there's really nothing historic left at all.
Well, that's condemnable.
So then it's condemnable. So there are intervening circumstances, yes, but we do need to be aware that if we make a finding formally that this is a historic structure now, it does tie our hands to say later on at the demolition permit stage is not historic. Or vice versa, if we say now it's not historic, and I think that's what you're trying to get to, that if years and years and years and years go by and someone goes to demolish it, but at that point now, the village, something has changed in the village and there's no more double arched old stables around, and we find that is that it is more important at that stage in time, then we could defensively make that finding.
Can I ask a question, which might be, I might just not know the answer. The main house, and I went on the property and great, I love seeing the plaque. The main house is obviously historic, so the other two, just to clarify, they are or are not? They are not deemed historic.
They're not listed.
They're not listed on the registry.
Anywhere.
We're
the other three
in a
there are
historic
three
district, but we have
others.
not deemed those two structures to be historic structures that you cannot tear down.
You're not
And the character,
saying
I can
anything
pull it up
about
right
this.
now.
Right, none.
they aren't on the
They're not
register.
historic, so the only thing that, if somebody bought this property,
Just say that it's in the-
they can tear all this down,
Right.
but not that,
Just say that they're contributors.
as it stands now.
That's the part of
And,
the.
and that's why, well, okay,
But
these
that's one of the questions and I think.
They can tear down,
right,
Right.
right, with a
with an application.
demo, yeah, okay.
And to be clear, I don't want to demolish this building myself to a potential buyer. As it was to me, the existence of this building, where it is, you could not replace it on the property line. So it is really out of sight of the main house as well as anything. Somebody might want that space for the storage of antique cars, which seems to be a popular. My new neighbor has got 18 car garage in his basement and no cars to put in it yet. But he's good, so good he will.
Or a gym.
And we use it as a wood shop. It could be a home office, it could be an architect's office, it could be useful for many purposes.
So just for,
On the other hand,
But why do you want, why is my question?
because there's an FAR in this
Because
village.
it's- Oh, okay, so that's what, why.
Yes.
So you want it so that someone could add on to,
Whoever
the
buys
house.
the main
Okay.
house, which was designed for luxurious living
I know, I
in
get it.
1899 as a summer cottage. If someone would like to make it habitable,
So they can use the FAR
climate
to
controlled.
but then you should well, no, never mind. Get rid of this.
And so, existing space in terms of the FAR is fungible. You can,
I get it,
and we
okay.
have.
I just wanted to hear it.
Now, if it was deemed not historic, could it still stay as of right, not with the proper setbacks?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, that's just zoning code, that doesn't have anything to do with the historicity of the
Okay.
structure. But just for the sake of, I know that we mentioned, for the sake of clarity, the historic register. The National Historic Register entry for 31 Hedges is contributing carriage house converted to a residence related to 990-1, a nearby property, gambrel roof building with shed style front windows, 6/6 sash and a cupola. So that is the
That's
the improved carriage house, it's livable. So nothing within those 3 lines references this outbuilding.
What would you think of?
And originally, the outbuildings were only, the carriage house was just that. Tiny little dark rooms up next to the hayloft where grooms and coachmen lived. This was only in the 50s when it started becoming used as a supplementary residence. I mean, Lee Foster used to rent it for a play school.
I think you have some perspective that, you know, we each have given our opinion, and hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not asking the board to give up any authority that it has now or in the future, except to say that as of, you won't do it today, but November 27, 2023, the board does not believe that this well, as it says, is not deemed historic in regard to any future applications for alterations or demolition.
I mean, I think the fact that there are these requirements and we're still up to this level of conjecture, that we as a board have to offer some sort of actionable guidance.
No, I agree.
Especially when we're preservation is nature and it further gums up the potential new, well-intentioned owner.
And I think as a policy, it would be helpful to identify many of the historic structures in this village that are not either on the register or on our supplemental list of historic places. And I know Tom has been particularly interested in barns. That's becoming less and less of an issue, unfortunately. But I think there are cases in which accessory buildings should be preserved and do contribute to the overall character, especially if they're visible from a public right-of-way. So can I just end it by asking you at a subsequent meeting if you would consider this application? I'll make it a formal application, but I think the front office people would like to know how do I apply for this? What questions need to be answered? You mentioned ownership, but that's simple. It is registered to an LLC, and we can show you the minutes.
That can be, we already have, I'm almost certain that we have an owner's disclosure form or an open government owner's disclosure
So we
form.
need the LLC paperwork to see who the owners are.
Correct. We normally, Sagaponic works slightly different than Southampton. We typically get the form, and we also want to see the LLC documents just to reference what he's saying. So we can take that. As far, I am aware that we don't have an application form for a historic interpretation. That's something that we probably should do, or I should probably assist you all in doing. That being said, you've already provided a lot of information already, so I don't think that you'll have to do that much in heavy lifting. I'll discuss with Rhodey and with Brian Ian as to what we should request, and we can make a
In terms of the
determination.
structure itself, there really is no more information that I can provide.
I think that the burden, the heavy lifting is on us for.
There are no historical records. There's no buildings.
Yeah, well, we have those 7 elements, and
Yeah.
then we can go through and we can see, does this satisfy those 7 elements or not? But
Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Now, keep bugging Rhodey. To see if, you guys follow through.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Beautiful to see you here. We need a guy like you on the board.
Don't make me come back.
Oh.
You were being, I know, I was gonna say, I did not see you like that.
Well,
they're not gonna be able to make a decision without a demo package.
no,
Correct?
Pat.
John, am I missing
The
something?
no, so we need to, and I understand everyone's confusion, including mine at prior meetings, so that if this, and stop me if I'm wrong, the applicant wants right now just our determination as to yay or nay, is this a historic structure? Either yes, the structure is historic, or B, no, the structure is not historic. So that's our task at the moment. And what I point out, but what I urge we need to, it is a separate application. If and when a demo application does come before us, all demo applications have to, under the village code, that requires us to make a finding at that stage, if it is a historic structure or not. So we are essentially doing half of that battle already if we make a finding formally at this stage that the structure is not historic. Because that will be public record, and an applicant down the road will be able to say, well, no, board, you've already found this is not historic.
There would have to be some empirical change to the qualifications by which we deem something historic for us to go back on our word and change it.
Correct.
So I think with that in mind, it's
Yeah.
pretty safe.
I mean, 50 years from now, maybe you can deem it historic. Maybe the last shingle building standing in the village of Sagaponic.
But right now, you're asking for our opinion and what we think we might say, and I can tell you that I don't feel like it should be deemed historic, that's my own. As one board member,
I agree.
perspective.
Yeah, by a long shot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everything else.
Okay, the door's not quite latched.
So did we perjure ourselves or not?
I think
No, we actually handle that well, we all handle that well.
Okay,
We should take down that coop.
Are we gonna
Wait a
adjourn the
second,
meeting
wait a
and then
yes, we're
discuss?
gonna adjourn.
we need a committee of 2 members for December. Any volunteers?
How does that work? Just, will you tell me? I'm not busy.
A committee of 2 functions on this premise that if there's something that comes up that's a minor detail, we can approve it. If it runs through certain criteria that the building inspector has already,
It was like the 199 that last week,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. No, so I understand that, how does it, is it in person, is it?
it depends on the paperwork. Sometimes it requires you to come in and look at the paperwork,
Okay.
or it
And
can
it's
be put
before
up on the
the
Google
December
Drive.
18th date, right?
Correct, yeah. Or to finish a application that was adjourned for refined paperwork or something.
Yeah.
So those are usually the criteria that the COT comes into play on. Okay?
Mhm.
And we would get an email from the office that just says, here's information, if you have any questions, if you want to talk to the inspector, and then come in and sign it, sign off on it, and then it doesn't go through a full.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that, are you willing to try that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we have our COT for December, and a reminder that the meeting is a week earlier than normal. It's the 3rd Monday instead of the 4th Monday in December.
December 18th?
Correct.
That's correct.
At noon. All right.
One question.
Yes.
Christine Crawford, who spoke in at the Zoom.
Yeah. Mhm.
So if we're on a Zoom, we can't say anything, but other people can, or
They can present their concern.
okay.
There are certain things, and Rhodey was going to come in and let's adjourn first.
Yes.
And then we can discuss that. So we have everything settled?
Well, you gotta make the motion.
Right, well, I have
Well, if
to
we
give
want
a
to
vote.
discuss, I would suggest if we do want to discuss, not only the Lockheim application, but just in general, how going forward, we will handle applications for determinations, let's keep it open. So that it can't be construed as we are going off the record with the discussion. So the way that I see it, and I said it at least 3 times before, that there's nothing barring us from making that determination that this is historic or this is not historic. But where it can become an issue, both in this application and in the world in general, is the applicant or a subsequent applicant will have to come back to us either way for a demolition permit. And then we will have our hands tied to some extent if we've already said it's historic. Tony brings up a good point. If years and years and years have transpired and different circumstances have come about, as Mr. Lockheim made an example, if this is the last cedar shaped shed left in the entire village of Sagaponack, and then we have a valid impetus to want to preserve it, we could possibly go back on our word then, it would be defensible. But this is the slippery slope that we face if we start to make these determinations.
I think we can consider this one a bit of an anomaly, given the entire property. I think that someone, because it's a historic structure, no one's able, if someone tears it down, would put next to nothing in. That just to add that burden.
I think the one thing that has to be emphasized, if we decide that it's not a historic structure, is it is an accessory.
Yeah.
It is an accessory structure.
Just a second, do you want to go on this discussion?
Somewhat, yes.
Oh.
So going, because if under open meetings law, we can't have more than 2 people
Right.
if we're discussing an application. So being that we're veering back and forth between an actual application and talking, and I'd like to speak in general terms because this is probably not the last time we'll hear something like that. I think that maybe I should speak to, the mayor, the trustees and say, should I put together a very brief application form and look what other villages are doing? I'm sure there's some other village in the entire state of New York that has an application for a determination. And then we can see.
It would be great if people would come to us with their historic things so that we could judge instead of leaving it to us driving around randomly.
Correct.
One by one, or waiting 5 years to do another inventory of things.
But every historic structure deemer would want that to make it a pre-existing non-conforming, so they could add square footage or get a variance or.
Yeah.
I think it would end up being
No, but
a
it,
line of self-serving people.
it has to be to emphasize as an accessory, because otherwise people could use it as a precedent to tear down historic, do you understand? That's the key.
Well,
Or they just go through the same process and say, just like you do with this accessory structure, where you
Right.
deem that my main house is no longer historic, and therefore we can say
That's what
no.
I'm saying, yeah,
But so I don't think there would be, this is still a one-off of just this one single building. And I don't think no one could drag a precedent. One example is, it wouldn't take 50 years for us to adopt like a Southampton policy where you get rid of a historic structure or a structure that's not deemed historic but has historic elements.
Correct.
And we could somehow, all of a sudden, those historic elements could take a greater precedent. And that would be.
Yeah,
much quicker.
supervening, there was a
Yeah.
supervening code change, supervening legality.
Yeah.
Whereas if we, again, just to use it for an example, if we were to grant Mr. Lockheim's application, there's nothing that bars us from subsequently changing the code. And then if on top of that, there's also change in circumstances, then we can have a defensible position and we can say, well, I know, yes, we made that determination back in 2023, but now here we are in 2043 and things have changed.
The one thing that just made me a little uncomfortable was, and I think it was answered, but was the proposed resolution that he had put forth said that upon making this determination, that it would be in regard to any future applications for alterations or demolition.
Yeah, that's why I write the resolutions and not the applicant.
Right, no, I understand, and I mean, maybe I'm stating the obvious, but so that was.
No, I saw his face.
So what I can do, and I guess I can probably wrap it up after this, or at least wrap up my thoughts on this. I will speak to the mayor, I'll speak to Brian Egan about, we'll put together an application packet for determination. It's up to this board. If you think that it's no longer historic, go right ahead. If you think that it is historic, go right ahead. I'm not here to tell you how to vote or tell you how to view things. And we will discuss going forward a more streamlined way of addressing determinations. I'm sure that there must be some village or town within the state that has a similar process.
Okay, thank you. Thomas, I wanted to talk about the glazing
Yes,
situation. Is that on record?
let's do that off record.
Yeah, we can cut that out.
Yeah. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed?
I need to second, I'll second that,
Okay. Who proposed?
Tony.
Okay, thank you. Okay, very good, thank you. So